Good day everyone. My report is all about coastal ecosystem. Definition of coastal ecosystem: an area where land and water come together, provide habitat for a wide variety of marine plants and animals, as well as provide resources and homes to humans around the world. Coastal ecosystem include highly biodiverse marine communities that vary depending on local topography and climate. Many fish, turtles, and migratory bird nest in coastal areas because of large amount of food and also because they are protected from some of the dangers of the deep ocean. So this think of two recognizable land forms such as beaches, cliff, and coral reef, which are highly vulnerable to disturbance because of the human activities. Example of it are the tourist spots and using dynamites. The organisms that live in coastal areas are able to thrive because of the availability of sunlight and a sustained supply of nutrients. The shallow waters of coastal ecosystems allow sunlight to penetrate to the ocean floor where nutrients from dead organisms can collect and support life. Sunlight can only penetrate to an ocean depth of 50 to 100 meters. Unfortunately, the degradation of the coastline is leading to habitat destruction and irreversible damage to coastal communities. Example of the coastal ecosystem includes bays, estuaries, mangroves, salt marshes, and wetlands. So let's move on to the characteristics of coastal ecosystem. Formation of coastal landform. Coastal landform are any features of the land that are present along the coastline. The differences in the shapes of coastal landforms result from geological processes, including erosion, deposition, affect the formation of coastal landform, include climates, weather, or waves, tides, currents, or etc., and gravity. So, waves are the major cause of the erosion and deposition of coastal landform. Example, small waves can pick up small sand particles and deposit them along the coast during a storm. Large waves can move large rocks away from the coastline out to the deeper water. Over time, this force changed the shape of the coastline. So, coastal region facts. One of the important coastal region facts to know is that they provide the setting for many human activities like fishing, agriculture, textile, recreation, and tourism. Their convenient location for travel and commerce also makes them large source environmental pollution. These pollutants have negative impacts on the fragile communities of species that thrive in coastal waters. One of this is the eutrophication. Eutrophication is when algae productivity increases due to the addition of nitrogen and phosphorus into coastal waters. This creates algal blooms, which can kill native marine organisms by decreasing the supply of dissolved oxygen in water. So coastal waters are defined as the interface between land and water. Coastal waters begin at point of land on the coast and typically extend to the edge of the continental shelf about 1 nautical mile out the sea. This distance will vary depending on location and local structure of the ocean floor. Coastal waters are made up of mixed salt and fresh water. Salinity, temperature, and currents all play an important role in shaping the communities of organisms that are able to live in coastal waters. Coastal waters are also affected by weather patterns and tides. So, coastal ocean facts. One of the facts about coastal ocean is the coastal oceans are some of the most biologically productive ecosystems in the world. Although coastal oceans make up 10% of the total ocean surface area. Coastal oceans contain more than 50% of all phytoplankton or microscopic plant-like organisms that are present in the world's ocean. These phytoplankton then form the base of the food web for the rest of the ocean, like including zooplankton or microscopic animal-like organism, fish, and other animals. This fact about coastal oceans means that coastal waters provide some of the best fishing grounds in the world. The amount of food available in the form of phytoplankton provides adequate resources for a variety of fish and other organisms to come to coastal waters to reproduce. Overfishing in the coastal oceans has had negative effects on the health and biodiversity of coastal ecosystem. Biological structure of coastal ecosystem. Coastal seas are composed of relatively independent ecosystems such as estuaries, rocky shores, mangroves, and coral reefs. Such individual ecosystems or IEs are linked closely to each other by the dispersal and circulation of nutrients and organic matter and the movement of organisms, and form a coastal ecosystem complex or CEC. The CEC is understood as a unit of structure and function of coastal seas. Further, seasonal and interannual variability of vegetation cover affects every mortality and population abundance of fish. Love it all in 1991. Information of the functions of each habitat, their spatio-temporal variability, and connectivity with other habitats is indispensable for understanding how these habitats contribute to survival and recruitment of fishery resources. Baker and Sherbs 2011. Sherbs at 2015. Within the coastal ecosystem complex. So, biodiver- biological structure of coastal ecosystem, it is a characterized by a high degree of species diver- diversity, and it plays a large role in the fishery and agriculture production as it provides important marine services for humans. It facilitates the conservation of coastal seas and the sustainable and production of their fisheries and aquaculture based on our understanding of the structure and function of the coastal ecosystem complex in these environments. So those is estuarine and coastal environments provide highly productive, fluctuating ecosystems for fish communities that are composed of many species with varying life history types such as freshwater, estuarine, marine, and diadromous fish. They also provide several important ecosystem services such as biodiversity, leisure fishing, aquaculture, and fisheries culture. So let's move on to environmental issues of coastal ecosystem. Threats to the coastal zone that result from human activities and pressures. It discusses generic modifications to coastal ecosystems in relation to specific human activities and introduce the various traits resulting from poorly managed activities. Some 40% of the world's human population live that far from the coast within about 100 kilometers of the shore. This means that about 3 billion people rely to some extent on coastal and marine ecosystem habitats and resources for food, buildings, materials, building sites, and agricultural and recreational areas, while utilizing coastal areas as a dumping ground for sewage, garbage, and toxic waste. The way in which coastal and estuarine ecosystems have been and still are heavily influenced by anthropogenic pollution throughout the world. Climate change is the currently by far the most important stressor for ocean and coastal ecosystem. In this study, the cumulative impact of the 14 stressors related to human activities, including climate change, fishing, land-based pressures, and other commercial activities, on 21 different marine ecosystems globally was estimated for each of 11 years spanning 2003 to 2013. Flow of freshwater and entrained materials to the coastal zone has been closely altered by human activities. Coastline of many countries face high risk of damage from certain types of natural disasters. The composition of structure of the fauna, flora, and habitats of coastal seas has been changing at an unusual rate in the last few decades due to the changes in the global climate, invasive species, and an increase in human activities. Living organisms play an essential role in biologic, uh, biogeochemical cycles through coastal systems. They are themselves vulnerable to rapid changes which take place in the coastal zone due to anthropogenic activities. But changes in the structure of population of organisms will in turn affect the geochemistry of the habitat to a point where such cycles might become dysfunction. So, environmental issues of coastal system, industrial developments has unaltered, disturbed, and destroyed coastal ecosystem, including sensitive habitat. Main industrial activities affecting coastal areas include iron or smelling and processing, chemical and petrochemical industry, or oil and gas storage, paper mills, uh, recycle factories, shipbuilding, rubber plant, or coal nuclear energy, and food processing, including fish. Numerous pipelines, data, and energy cables buried in the seaweed create problems for the other users or bottom trough fisheries, marine aggregate extraction. Construction engineering activities often cause permanent destruction of habitats or decrease and fragmentation of habitats due to land claim, dumping, disposal, etc. How and why ecosystems are at risk while the human demand of resources from the sea is increasing, particularly in coastal areas. The consequences of such changes taking place in coastal ecosystems may have consequences at global level leading to an unbalance in fluxes of energy and minerals at the interface between land and the sea. So conservation efforts of coastal ecosystem. The coastal and marine ecosystem provide services vital to the hundreds of millions of the move towards the coast in search of the better life. Coastal conservation is an integral part of the overall ecosystems conservation movement. Coastal ecosystems include estuaries, coastal waters, and land located at the lower end of the drainage basins where stream and river systems meet the sea and are mixed by tides. As a result of the decreasing population and loss of habitat, many conservation organizations have formed coastal habitats around the world support a wonderful diversity of the life and coastal conservation of these habitats is impressive for the future success. The most important way to ensure the places remain self-sustaining natural systems in the help spread the awareness of their importance to our shared global community. Even if you never have the chance to see or touch the ocean, it touches you with every breath you take, every drop of water you drink, every bite you consume. Everyone everywhere is inextricably connected to and utterly dependent upon the existence of the sea. If you think the ocean is not important, imagine Earth without it. Mars comes to mind. No ocean, no life support system. These ecosystems are very important because they provide habitat for fish and other animals beyond their immediate geographic scope. That's all. Thank you.